While the stock numbers are looking pretty good for the Jordan 4 white cement, and we're going to get into that towards the end of today's video, what I will say is these are still not going to be an easy comp. This is a big deal, but I'm going to make it an easy comp for you so you can not only get one pair, but multiple pairs. And I'm just going to do that by showing you the 5 easiest ways to get these. And through all these ways, you're probably going to be able to get multiple pairs. So whether you're a reseller or if you just want one pair to rock, one to stock, you should be able to come away with multiple. And even if you've been in the game for a while, you've been going for drops for a long time, I'd highly recommend you pay attention to this video because a lot has changed since the last big general release drop that you've probably gone for. A lot of these websites and their procedures have changed, but don't worry, I'm going to keep you updated on everything you need to pay attention to. Now, obviously, there's going to be tons and tons of retailers dropping. A lot of them are going to be Shopify. A lot of them are just going to be boutique raffles. And you might have some local first come first serve store that you might want to pay attention to. But for the most part, those aren't actually going to be your best chances. And to save your guys time, unless you're a botter, you probably don't want to go for those Shopify releases. So I'm just going to go over the 5 best ways to comp these. And after that, we're going to talk about resale predictions, what to expect in the market, along with the stock numbers for these. But first, let's get the obvious out of the way. The first one is obviously going to be Nike sneakers. Now, with Nike sneakers, they already had their early drop. If you guys recall, just yesterday, they had an exclusive access drop and a good amount of stock was dropped here. They dropped via exclusive access at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously, we posted this early info inside of Endurance. I remember seeing some guy in the free group that we offer, which is just for free guides to help you guys out with no cost. He was saying like how he missed the notification because he was riding his motorcycle. And I said to him like, look, I'd really encourage you to join Endurance so you don't have to always watch your phone so closely. You know, we post this info ahead of time so you know to expect it. But not just for exclusive access, for any kind of shock drop. And especially this month, next coming weeks, you want to pay attention for shock drops. Again, links in the description if you want to consider joining, or at least check out the free group so we could help you guys out there. Not only with sneakers, but with Pokemon too. A lot of money to be made there. I'd highly encourage you to check it out because there's no one doing Pokemon better than us, trust me. But on May 24th at 10 a.m. Eastern time, Nike sneakers is obviously going to be dropping these. And while the most stock is going to be here, this is not actually going to be your best shot. Your best shot is going to be on the other ones, which I'll get into in a second. But this is obviously going to be a very good chance. You want to go for Nike sneakers on as many unique devices as possible, each one having a unique account. If you want to know why I suggest using one account per device, I made a whole video on this topic a very long time ago, and this theory still holds true today. It's really important now more than ever that you have an active account, the same active account on that same device. Now, I'm not saying an account is unable to win if it's on a browser or on a different device for the first time. They could still win, but the chances are going to be lower. And this is why you see, you know, botters could still come away with many W's, you know, across hundreds of accounts that they're running, but the chances of those accounts winning are going to be lower in comparison to one account that's been on the same device for an extended period of time and has been logged in and engaging consistently on the app. The algorithm does factor this in, and those accounts always will have a much higher chance of winning. So if you have multiple devices, make sure you keep the same account on there. Feel free to check out the full video on that. I'll link that at the end of today's video. Now, as for another early drop for the white cements, because I know a lot of people would be expecting these to have a shock drop, and that makes perfect sense. I even was anticipating that these would have a shock drop, but right now there's still no word if there's going to be one scheduled. And I talked to some people. Right now, there's nothing scheduled. This, of course, could change tomorrow. This, of course, could change the next day. But as of right now, as of me making this video, there's no shock drop scheduled. If anything does get scheduled, though, I'm obviously going to post it inside of my group. Now, as for other shock drops that you want to be paying attention to, there are some in the works, though, luckily. But anyway, that's it for Nike sneakers. Now on to the next one. Another obvious one that we should get out of the way is Flex app reservations. Obviously, you want to make sure that you not only sign up for the Flex app reservations, but another really good way to get pairs, and this method is as old as time since they've been doing these reservations, is the leftovers method. And big general releases like this do tend to have a lot of leftovers. A lot of people don't pick up their pairs. Basically, every Foot Locker and Champs is going to be a little bit different, but for the most part, if you go early in the morning, they're going to give you some kind of a ticket or a wristband, something like that, and then you come back later after 3 p.m. local time, after the pickups would have been, and then you could pick up whatever's left over, one per person. So a lot of people tend to bring multiple friends or bodies for these kinds of releases. I figured I'd just mention that though, because reservations is not the only way to cop through Flex. Leftovers is still a viable method. And the next obvious one that I should go over that a lot of you guys still aren't doing, and I have no idea why, because it's easy pairs, Finish Line and JD Sports Status Access. There's gonna be 2 different drops for these. There's gonna be in-store and there's gonna be online too. The in-store should be around Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Wednesday should be around 9 a.m. Eastern time too, and Wednesday is going to be for the online ones. So make sure you signed up for Finish Line and JD Status Access if you haven't. This is another easy way to get pairs on big general releases like this. They have a lot of stock to unload. Now, as for the last 2, we've seen some changes with their procedures here. So the first one would have to be Dick's Sporting Goods, DSG. So if you guys recall the way DSG used to do it, they would give you wristbands many days before and you would come pick up pairs, but now it's looking like it's just going to be the app raffles. But that doesn't change the fact that this is still gonna be a very viable method to copy. There's still gonna be a lot of stock through those app raffles, but not only that, another change is the way they've been doing the first come first serve online launches lately. It's not through the queue that we're used to seeing. Like recently with these last few drops, they've just been doing first come first serves. Now, I'm not sure if they're gonna change it up back to the old ways just for the White Cement 4 because this is a big drop, it's a big deal. It's definitely possible, and if that is the case, the way you would cop from a queue is to ideally try to open up many Chrome users just like we would do for the old Adidas and Yeezy Supply queue. But right now it's looking like it's gonna be a first come first serve drop, and the best way to cop first come first serve on DSG is gonna be on your mobile device actually, so you could use Apple Pay through the browser, not the app. So like open up Safari on your phone and then try to check out using Apple Pay. That'll probably be your best chance at copying here. This is a good first come first serve I suggest focusing on, and that's assuming they don't do a queue here, and I'm pretty sure they're not gonna, but they could change it last minute. So that's one thing that's changed that's pretty big, aside from the raffles, that too. And finally, the last thing I gotta go over is Snipes. Snipes is going to be dropping these 2. In addition to their in-store raffle, they're also going to be doing an online drop. And with these online drops, they always tend to do that queue. It's a long waiting room. There actually is a way to bypass the queue, but it's gotten a little bit more complicated. So basically, we used to create bypass links inside of Endurance with Gargantua, and we could send out a link to everyone in the group. You would click that link and you would easily be able to bypass. Well, they decided to implement a new method where you have to enter your name, your phone number, and email in order to, enter the queue. So then when you're checking out, they check to make sure that that matches up. Otherwise, you won't be able to place your order. And it's very intelligent on their part. But we've found a way around that. What we now do is we created a website inside of my group Endurance where we create these bypass signups. So you have to provide your name, your email, your phone number, and then we basically enter the queue for you. This way, whatever bypass link is created, then it's DM'd to that particular user, and they could check out successfully from the link in their DM. But another person can't use that same link. So it's a bit more complicated, but we're still doing the bypass links through this method. Again, if you want to join Endurance, the link's in the description below. We're going to be doing the same bypass signups here for that too. But otherwise, it is just a queue, and you can still cop manually without the bypass on the queue. And I'd really encourage you guys to try because there's going to be pretty high stock here. Not only that, but Snipes does do a lot of restocks. We monitor Snipes and every single other website inside of Endurance for these restocks, and the restocks are honestly the easiest way to hit. So make sure you're paying attention to the monitors if you do happen to join Endurance, because there should be a lot of restocks with a big general release shoe like this. And last but not least, actually number 6, I did feel it was worth mentioning Hibbett too, because while Hibbett has gotten a lot more difficult than it used to be, it still is a pretty good first come first serve option from your mobile device using Apple Pay. But the reason I mentioned it last and more of like an honorable mention is because you might want to consider going for DSG as your first come first serve choice over Hibbett. There does tend to be more manual success via DSG first come first serve over Hibbett as of recently, but it's entirely up to you. Of course, if you prefer to go for Hibbett, that's fine too. Maybe their protection will be much better this drop because they're taking it more serious. It's a big deal. That's entirely possible. At the end of the day, you got to pick your poison, what you're going to prefer, DSG or Hibbett. And that's, again, assuming DSG sticks to their first come first serve, which they've been doing recently. And also Hibbett does restock a ton too. We monitor Hibbett. So again, I encourage you to join Endurance so you can get these notifications, because restocks are going to be some of the easiest ways to get multiple pairs of these. So that's how you comp these in a nutshell. There's going to be many other retailers dropping too, but if you're a manual user, this is where you're going to want to really focus your time and your efforts in the morning. Now, as for resale, first the stock numbers on Nike's endpoint alone, just Nike sneakers US, there's 90,000 pairs. In total, there's going to be significantly more than that, of course, and I'll have that number a little bit later, but as of right now, we can gauge proportionally that this is definitely going to be a really big stock drop. And it kind of surprised me because Jordan Brand has had a recent pattern of slashing a lot of stock, but I guess they realized that demand was going to be exceptionally high for the white cement 4, which makes sense. 90,000 pairs for Nike sneakers US alone is a very big number. Now, obviously that number on Nike's endpoint is subject to change. I'll try to keep you guys updated leading up towards it, but obviously Endurance will have the final numbers. But regardless of that very high stock, I do still believe that these have potential for profitability. Not going to be anything crazy because the retail is kind of high at $225, but if you focus on sizes 11 and above, you should be able to make some decent profit off these, about some lunch money if you have tax with a poor margin, and if you don't have tax, you should be able to make a little bit more than that. Nonetheless, those big sizes should definitely net you some easy money, and I think all of us definitely need a personal for these too. Don't sleep on this release, guys. I'm going to make a full seller hold video with a more in-depth analysis on the resale the day before the drop. Just make sure you subscribe and enable post notifications, and remember, for more resources, and not only on sneakers, but for Pokemon too, because I'd highly encourage you to get into that. Join Endurance with the link below, and we have a free group there too to get your feet wet. Other than that though, have a great rest of your day and good luck on the drop.